G'day and welcome to the Jade Rat. My name is Jaya and today we'll be doing a watercolour painting of a wave curling over in the ocean. This is a test painting done on the Khadi Handmade watercolour papers in the size A6 and weight 320 GSM. This paper I purchased off of Amazon and it is made of a cotton rag and is from India. It is handmade and it is acid free, 100% cotton, and it has a deckled edge which makes a really interesting effect when you apply the masking tape onto the edges. Here I'm added some salt onto the watercolour paper as it is wet to create this interesting sort of speckled effect. Now we're going in with the darker shapes, and you can see from the image here that there is a slight tooth to the paper. It's not quite smooth, but it is a bit heavier and thicker than other watercolor papers. The pattern is evident especially when you don't stretch the paper. The first test painting that I did was actually done without stretching the paper, and it was just a plain sketch, and there you could see the tooth and the grain of the paper was really prominent. And sometimes you really had to flood the paper to get it into the tiny little grooves. Here this paper was stretched beforehand, so it was wetted and then taped down and let to dry so that the paper kind of expanded and dried in a expanded format. Well, now we're going in with the darker colours, trying to establish the shape of the wave. I started off this piece with masking fluid, and that was the Winsor & Newton masking fluid, and I'm peeling it off now after I've done a painting and it's completely dry. Once it's completely dry, I'm pulling it off in the direction of the masking fluid, and this essentially helps me, I've noticed, to avoid the paper being ripped. A common problem that I have encountered with masking fluid, and particularly lower quality papers, ones you can get from the dollar store or student grade paper, tends to not withstand the masking fluid, particularly the removal process, very well. And it's really recommended that you don't keep the masking fluid on for too long because it will ruin the paper. Here, the Khadi paper, due to its thickness and heaviness, I suppose, actually took to the masking fluid really well. Some of the finer areas were a bit harder to remove but could be done with an eraser. And it really established this sort of light, bright colours that the wave has. The paper itself is a slightly off-white, sort of warm white, as opposed to that sort of extra bleached, bright white paper that you would normally get. But it is wonderful, and it has these slight imperfections, sometimes, not all the time. And that's due to it being handmade. Now we're coming in with the gouache. White gouache is mixed with the watercolours to sort of create this opacity that can be put into the wave. I love painting the ocean, however, I'm not very good at it. And this was a great test to see how all of the pieces of the ocean come together, the lights and the darks. And I added in small pieces of a sort of turquoise, bluey green mixture into areas where the wave curls over. You can see it here. There's a slight bit of green mixed into it, and that sort of indicates where the lightness of the water is. It's not as deep there, and there's a bit of sun shining through. Here we're going in with white ink actually, using this wonderful runny consistency to create the sea foam and spray effect of the ocean. Here we can see that it's the deckled edge will become apparent here, and we're removing the tape to create this nice crisp border. And this size A6 works well for greeting cards or postcards, and it's a good way to do smaller sketches or paintings without using up large space. This is the first time I'm painting the ocean in watercolors to this extent, and I really enjoyed it. Be sure to like, subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.